Okay everybody, welcome back to part 2 of how to model a Spitfire, a low polygon Spitfire. In this tutorial we're going to concentrate on the wings and the cockpit. Now as you can see we've got most of the model laid out. If I look down here at the right orthographic view, what I want to do is to be able to extrude the wings from these faces here. And also later on I'll extrude the actual cockpit from these faces on top of the fuselage. Now, if I have a look at the model from this port, you see in between the last time I did the tutorial, I basically started shifting around some of the polygons so they lined up. I started thinking ahead basically, so that all my polygons here will be in line for me to do the things that I want to do. So these edges along here I actually rotated and I shifted up the front. These three faces down the bottom of the model is where I'm going to extrude out the wing, and I've just talked about that, and also the cockpit up that way. But that didn't just happen by chance. I arranged it. I arranged the actual geometry and the verts and the edges so that would happen. I looked at it first. I said I want to be able to extrude the wing out of this section, so I actually moved these edges. I moved the edges so that it allowed me to extrude straight out from this section, so that the wing, if we look from the top point of view, top view, these three, and I'll zoom right in, control up, these three edges on the bottom of the plane are going to be extruded out this way to make the wing, okay? And that will allow me to extrude from here, to bend around the corner here, and to continue on through the whole wing. And like I said before, if I just go to, I'll go to transparent mode again, select these faces, transparent, you can see that the cockpit is going to be just in here, and it sort of fits within these four faces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so let's get going. Let's get started. Okay, so what we're going to do is get out of that and come over here to our right orthographic view. We're going to hit Control Up to go full screen, which I like doing. And we just want to select, again, the faces that are going to be, the faces that are covering the section of the wing. So I've just selected those 6 faces. Now we're going to simply, I like to rotate it a little before I do an extrusion so I can watch what I'm doing. If I hit E for extrude and then X and simply move the mouse, you know that the wing will extrude out from the body, but it's really quite ugly. It's really quite hard and sharp, and there's no beveled edge, I suppose, or no smooth indent or inset for the actual wing. So we're going to undo that, and but I've already hit E for extrude, so I can just pull it out again. I just want to pull it out a very small amount, and then I want to select these edges along the top. So I switch into edge mode, and I just select these edges up here. Now I'm just going to move them down on the Z-axis, so that the wing will sort of smoothly come out from the body. I'm going to do the same on these edges here, but I'm going to move them on the Y-axis, move them in. Now you can see what I'm doing. I'm sort of making the transition between the wing and the fuselage a lot less abrupt, I suppose. So there we go. We've got the bit of it happening there. Now I'm just going to check these edges underneath the bottom of the wing. I'm going to move so that they're in line with the edges that are on the top inside face. So how do I do that? I'm just going to move them here. I'm also going to move these edges here so they're lined up as well. Now this is it's not very precise what I'm doing there, but at least it's getting me the result that I'm after. I'll just take this vert here, this stray vert, I suppose, and move it back where it should be. Now sometimes when all your edges are slightly out of alignment, what you can do is you can use this little trick where you select all your faces like so, and then using the scale manipulator scale it on an axis. In this instance, I'm going to scale it on the x-axis. And see what it does? It sort of lines them all up for me. They could all be out of whack. I just scale it on the x-axis and it's lining all those faces up. So they become more planar, if there's such a word. They become more planar. So that worked out quite well. Now, the only other problem here is the fact that if we look at the cross-section of this wing, everything highlighted in orange, it really is not very wing-shaped, not very wing-like. Now, wings have a type of aerodynamic shape where the wind that travels over the wing takes longer than the wind that travels under the wing, and this actually this gives the plane lift. Now, what we're going to do is I've actually got a cross-section that I've already found already. Look, I've got one I prepared earlier. How about that? There it is here. So you see that there's more sort of wing distance on the top of the wing, and it's quicker, it's shorter underneath. That's the shape anyway. My explanation is pretty lame. Now I'm just going to come over here, and I'm going to try and match up the inside of the wing. You may think I'm being really particular here, but this is one point in time where you can take the time to get it right. And if you leave it till later, it'll take longer, if that makes sense. Now I'm just going to move some of these verts around. So I just select vertices, right click on the vertices, I hold down shift and I can select two. I hit G on the keyboard and I can move them. I think I'll leave that one where it was. But these ones, I'm going to right click, shift, G to move. I'm just going to keep doing this until I position the verts where I want them to be. This is going to be tricky in this little section because this is still part of the body here, so I think I might leave that alone. Now you can see I am trying to get the wing to have more of a aerodynamic look to it. I might grab these edges this time. G, move them up a little bit. And this is something you could spend quite a bit of time on. I'm going to pull these ones down a little bit. Now, if you want to be really precise, you would use the translate manipulator and move on the z-axis so we can move it down a little bit. Now you can see we're really starting to get an aerodynamic looking wing shape. Now something that I always try and do is make sure that vertices and edges are actually doing something. Like if for example, on the very front of the wing here, before we get too carried away, say for example all our edges were lined up flat like this at the front of the wing. The front of the wing is actually, there's no shape to it. It's not really doing anything. So make sure you move them so that you're actually creating an interesting shape or an interesting form, shape, solid. And now we've got what's looking like a fairly nice, and I like to rotate around a lot too, looking at the model before you get too carried away. And so yeah, that's looking quite good. Maybe this one can go up a bit. I don't know why, but it just feels like it should. And we'll just take this one down a bit. So we want a really sharp edge for the wing. Okay, good. That'll do. Let's not get carried away. So now we've got the actual extrusion of the wing from the body, and it has come out quite nicely, really. We'll go down and we're going to select face. Right click to select the face, hold down shift, and select all the other faces. Now at this point in time, it would be wise to go back to the proper orthographic views. We don't need this anymore, so let's just pull back over here and work on it this way. Control up. Now I could just extrude it. I've got those faces selected, okay? I just hit E, and I'll just pull it right out to sort of the length of the wing, right? Now, what we need to do is scale this on which axis? Okay, we want to scale it on the z-axis. So we click on this scale manipulator and scale it on the z-axis so it becomes quite thin. Okay, now this is not going to really be with our final result, but in fact I have changed my mind here. I'm going to go G and I'm going to move it to around about here. Because the tip of the wing is quite distinctive. If you look over here on our reference, we'll go back to the reference, Control up, the wing is actually curved. So we want to maintain that shape. Okay, let's scale this on the y-axis in this viewport. and we've got our wings starting to, take shape. Now the things that are tricky on this model are the fact that it does curve around here. It does curve around. So let's have a good look at it and see what we can do about that. Well, fortunately, we've got extra polys here. Isn't that fortunate? Or I think it was just by design, really. Extra verts, I mean. So we're going to deselect everything. We're going to go back to wireframe mode. We're going to select these verts, which I should be in vertex mode to do that. B, select these verts here. And now I can simply go back to the top view and move them down. I'll use this transform. Is it called transform? Translate manipulator to move it down. Okay, now as you can see, it's just a matter of, at this point, just pushing verts around until you get the desired shape. These obviously have to go back, but I might just select these verts here. Go to the top viewport and then move them back. So it still is curved. If I go to shaded mode, you'll notice the wing has not got the shape of it doesn't have the Spitfire shape. So what we need to do is to add more edges along here. How do we do that? We go Control R, click once. Oh, no. Control R, rotate the wheel mouse. Now we're adding many, many more edges. Should we have more than, I think just 2. We're going to be minimalistic here. Oh, and then we go left click and we've added our extra edges that we need to add. I wish I didn't undo that, but I think it's Control Shift Z to redo. Left click. Now we're cooking with gas. We're going to unselect those. We're going to hit B to select. We have to go to wireframe mode again to see through the model. B to select those edges. We want to scale again, this time on the y-axis to push it out to get the shape where we need it to be. I'll put it in the vicinity and move it later. I know what I'm doing. A, B, and move it on, scale it on the y-axis again. Now it's starting to look like the real deal. Now we can just move some of these vertices around. Now you will notice a lot of this, doing this live is kind of tricky, but a lot of this work that you do is just tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking until you get it right. Now how would we get the end of the wing done? Let's switch on face. And again, I'm just going to extrude it straight out. Go back to the top view again. Now I went too far, but it's okay. I won't get in trouble for doing that. And then I'm just going to select these vertices again and move them into position. I kind of wish Blender had a key where you could deselect selections, because you've always got to hit A, B, and then move. Then you hit A to deselect, B to reselect, and then move. And it's a little bit tedious. Anyway, nearly there. What I'll do now is I'll just save this, and we'll continue on with other stuff in the next video tute. In part 3 of the video tute.